Okay.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. I praise Almighty Allah, I seek His help, His forgiveness, His assistance for me, for you, and all the Muslims. Allahumma ameen. I testify that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, Rabbil Alameen. And I testify that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His slave, His messenger, and the seal of all the prophets. But after what proceeds, I greet you with the greeting of the peace, the greeting of the people of Jannah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May the peace and blessings of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon you all. But today's topic, very important topic, and that is the topic of music. Music. Okay, so what does the book of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala have to say, in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ have to say, some of the ulama have to say, and some of the contemporary scholars have to say, and what I have to say. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make it easy upon us and to forgive us all. First and foremost, I want to encourage you to stick to the circles of knowledge. It is very essential that we have this portion of our lives, that we take the moments to go beyond our job, to go beyond our school, to go beyond what is our daily routine, to sit in the circles of knowledge. Because it's these investments in yourself which will count the most on the day of judgment. And we ask Allah tabarak wa ta'ala to give us the reward of this halaqah and to help us benefit from it. But when it comes to music, very important. Especially our youth has the singers and the celebrities have such a strong control over our youth today, and even the adults. So what does the book of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala have to say concerning music? But there's verses in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. One of them is when Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, He's saying, أَفَمِنْ هَذَا الْحَدِيثِ تَعْجَبُونَ وَتَضْحَكُونَ وَلَا تَبْكُونَ وَأَنْتُمْ سَامِدُونَ. And none besides Allah, do you wonder at this recitation, the Quran, and you laugh at it and weep not, wasting your precious lifetime in pastime and amusements. So the ulama, the Sahaba, they interpreted this verse about wasting one's time in pastime and amusements as singing. And subhanAllah, some background about this area is that the Quraysh, when the Prophet ﷺ used to go to the Kaaba, the Prophet ﷺ used to recite Quran out loud. And so in order to distract the Prophet ﷺ and his circle, what the Quraysh used to do, they would sit right beside the Prophet ﷺ and start singing. Can you imagine? Well, you have Alif, Lam, Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. Someone comes to you, someone comes next to you and starts singing Beyonce. Or start rapping Jay-Z. Can you imagine? Astaghfirullah al-Azim. In order to distract from the Quran. So this halaqah of people would leave the Prophet ﷺ in order to listen to music, in order to listen to the tales of the Romans, right? So inshallah, get to your question. So the scholar of the Ummah and the interpreter of the Quran, Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said that this pertains to singing. And another verse in the Quran, and of mankind is he who purchases idle talks to mislead from the path of Allah, tabaraka wa ta'ala. And Ibn Abbas, he said this refers to singing. Mujahid, he also said this means playing the instruments. Al-Hasan al-Basri, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, or rahimahullah, he said that this ayah was revealed concerning singing and musical instruments. As-Sa'di, he said, this includes all manner of haram speech, all idle talk and falsehood, and all nonsense that encourages kufr and disobedience. The words of those who say to refute the truth and to argue in support of falsehood, to defeat the truth, distractions, and backbiting and slander and lies and insults and curses and singing and musical instruments of the shayateen, and musical instruments which are of no spiritual or worldly benefit. So if you listen to the songs today, what is it about? That I killed this one, I killed that one, I carry a big fat gun, and you better not mess with me. Or the girls, what is this, garden tools. Garden tools, I have a garden tool, I have a garden tool, I have a garden tool. And she's nothing but a garden tool. Right? The degradation of women, degradation of men, a corrosion of society. So how can this be permissible? How can this be permissible? Allah Ta'ala, He says in another ayah of the Quran, translation of the meaning, and befool them gradually those who you can among your voice, with your voice, referring to the shaitan. So the shaitan is there to tempt us, to test us, and those who have the book of Allah and act upon Allah's guidance. The rejection of shaitan will drive you to Allah Ta'ala, will drive you straight to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was narrated that Mujahid, rahimahullah, he said, and befool them gradually those whom you can among with your voice. His voice is the voice of shaitan, is singing and falsehood. Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, he said that this positive or genitive construction, i.e. your voice, serves to make the meaning specific, as with phrases, your cavalry and your infantry. That comes later on in the ayah. Everyone who speaks in any way that is not obedient to Allah Ta'ala, everyone who blows into a flute or other woodwind instruments, violin, who plays any kind of drum, this is the voices of shayateen. Everyone who walks to commit some act of disobedience toward Allah Ta'ala, then they are part of the shaitan's infantry. And anyone who rises to commit sin is part of his cavalry. This is the view of the Salaf, and this was the view of Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So in Surah An-Nas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us to seek refuge in Allah from the shayateen, وَمِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالنَّاسِ, from the shayateen from among the jinn and the shayateen from among the men. So there are people who have pledged allegiance to shaitan without knowledge. You have vowed to pledge allegiance to shaitan without knowledge. And part of the allegiance of shayateen is music. It's music. Now, we're not talking about nasheedas, and we'll get to that later, inshallah. So, Ikramah, rahimahullah, he said, it was narrated from Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu that the verbal noun of Samidun, translated here as wasting your precious lifetime and pastimes and amusements, means singing. Like how much time we listen, how much time goes by listening to songs. Listening to songs. You cannot even think straight without listening to songs. I know this, when I was in college, there's many people who have the iPod on and they're doing the work at the same time. And they say that this helps them concentrate. Their life is so full of music and so full of batil, they can't even think straight without music. You see, subhanallah. And it's a distraction. It's a distraction, it's a distraction from the path of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. And if someone will say, yeah, Abu Maryam, how is music a distraction? Some music, not all music is bad, brother. Right? Not all music is bad. So inshallah, we will discuss that in more detail. Some hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. It was reported from Abu Umama, rahimahullah, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, do not sell singing slave women. Do not buy them and do not teach them. There is nothing good in this trade, and their price is haram. Concerning such things as the ayah was revealed, and of mankind is he who purchases idle talks to mislead from the path of Allah. This hadith is Hasan hadith. So during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was women who would sing, right? And they would sing as slave women who would sing. And the Prophet ﷺ said, do not sell them, and their price is haram. Why? Because they distract from the book of Allah Ta'ala, and they distract from your submission to Allah Ta'ala. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, and my ummah, or among my ummah, there will certainly be people who commit zina, silk, alcohol, and musical instruments. This is Hadith Bukhari. So look at what the Prophet ﷺ placed musical instruments alongside of. Zina, he placed it alongside of getting drunk, alcohol, and he placed it alongside of silk. And subhanAllah, some of the ulama, they say that music is the alcohol of the heart. Really. It intoxicates you. It provokes the desires. Right? A lot of these songs about love and about love and love. And how many songs can you sing about love? If you listen to them, if you listen to them, majority of them are about what they did last night in their bedroom and how you can come closer to this and that. And subhanAllah, there's no shame. None. No hayat. So what side, one companion or one tabi'i, he came to Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and he asked Ibn Abbas, is singing halal? And Ibn Abbas, he said that, which side on the day of judgment do you think that musical instruments and singing will be on? Will it be on the side of haqq, the side of truth, or will it be on the side of falsehood? And the man, he said it would be on the side of falsehood. He said, then go, you have answered your own question. Like, what is after truth except batil? What is after guidance except misguidance? Except misguidance. So which part of the scale on the day of judgment will R. Kelly's song be on the day of judgment? Will it be on the side of your good deeds, or will it be on the side of bad? It will be with the evil. It was narrated that Nafi' said that Ibn Umar, he heard a woodwind instrument. Nafi' was directly with Ibn Umar, the son of Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. And he said that Ibn Umar, he heard a woodwind instrument, and he put his fingers in his ears and kept away from that path. And he said to me, O Nafi', can you hear anything? I said, no. So he took his fingers away from his ears and he said, I was with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he heard something like this, and he did the same thing. This hadith is in sahih. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one time he heard a musical instrument, a wood musical instrument, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam put his fingers in his ears, and he went away from that path. And Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, if he seen the Prophet ﷺ do something, he would do it. He was very keen to follow the Sunnah. It is said that about Ibn Umar, one time he was coming from a journey in the desert, and he was with a large gathering. And subhanAllah, Ibn Umar, he just stopped and he went under the tree and he took a nap. And the people said, why did you go in this tree and take a nap? He said, because I seen Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam do this. Now, we have not been instructed to do this, but he loved the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam so much that even if he would see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ducking under a branch, he would go and duck under that branch because he loved the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What are the views of the ulama? Al-Qasim, rahimahullah, he said, singing is a part of falsehood. Al-Hasan, rahimahullah, he said, if there is music involved in a dinner invitation, do not accept that invitation. Shaykh al-Albani, rahimahullah, he said, the four madhahibs, all four schools of thought are agreed that all musical instruments are haram. There's one school, there's one opinion from Imam Shafi'i that is not attributed to Imam Shafi'i, stating that it is permissible, but all of them agree that it is haram. All of them agree. But, and the strongest of them, subhanAllah, is quite harsh, is the opinion of Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, and he's saying, Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he said, the madhab of Abu Hanifa is the strictest in this regard, and his comments are among the harshest. The companions clearly stated that it is haram to listen to all musical instruments such as the flute and the drum, even the tapping of a stick. SubhanAllah. They stated that it is a sin which implies that a person is a fasiq, an evildoer, whose testimony should not even be accepted. SubhanAllah. They went further than that, this school of thought. Okay? They went further than that and said that listening to music is evildoing, and it is enjoying it is a part of kufr. Now, of course, we don't agree with this, but SubhanAllah, they base this off of a hadith that cannot be attributed to the Prophet ﷺ. That's why they took that opinion. They said he should not try to hear it if he passes by it or it is in his vicinity. SubhanAllah. Imam Malik rahimahullah, he said, he was asked about the playing of the drum or flute. He said, if a person happens to hear the sound and enjoy it while he is walking or sitting, he should get up if he finds that he enjoys it, unless he is sitting down for a need or is unable to get up. If he is on the road, he should go back or move on to another road. This is the opinion of Imam Malik rahimahullah. Now, I have to make one admission. Sometimes, subhanAllah, I haven't been Muslim all my life, so sometimes a tune will come in my head, okay? And some of us, we have this syndrome, right? So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me and forgive my brothers and sisters in the deen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us strong hearts and help us to abandon this evil path, Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he said that, explaining the view of Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, he said his companions who know his madhab, who know his madhab, stated that it is haram and denounced those who said that he permitted it. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, he continued, he said, with regard of the madhab of Imam Ahmed, his son Abdullah, he said, I asked my father about singing. He said, singing makes hypocrisy grow in the heart. SubhanAllah, I do not like it. Then he mentioned the words of Malik, the evildoers from among us. The only ones who do this are the evildoers among us. So again, I reiterate, SubhanAllah, you know, there is, I'll give you one matter. SubhanAllah, you know, at one point of my life, okay, just very briefly, okay, and I was Muslim, okay, but I'm going to tell you this. I said, I heard a tune, Al Green, right, this guy. So, SubhanAllah, I turned on the radio, okay, and from that, you know, my feet started to go, and then I started to, you know, then I started to bob my head. So as a result, I went into Walmart, and what did I buy? His CD, SubhanAllah, astaghfirullah. So it started from this CD of Al Green. I said, okay, he only sings about good things. He doesn't sing anything about haram. I'm going to go and I'm going to get his CD. He's the only one I will get, Al Green. And I'll lean my elbow out the window and right. Allahumma maghfirli ya Rabbil Alameen. And so from that, Al Green, guess what happens? Okay, you know what? I started listening to the radio briefly. You know, since I'm listening to Al Green, why not listen to the radio? They cut the cursing, they cut the, you know, it's fairly clean. So I'll just listen to the old school ones, right? So as a result of that, listen to the old school ones. And so then it goes on a little bit more. And then I'll turn to the new school. And so if you go on and on and on and on, guess what? Shaitan is, come. And so SubhanAllah, I started to feel the dryness of Iman. I started, and this was very brief, okay? Very brief, all right? And after like a month or so, I started to say, SubhanAllah, something's wrong with my Iman. And then when I would hear the Quran, its effect upon me was not like the effect of music. Astaghfirullah al-azim. You see, the Quran and music cannot exist in the same heart, brothers. The sweetness, the tilawah of Quran cannot exist in the same heart of when music exists in that heart. It will be there, but the music either will replace the Quran or the Quran will replace the music. Period. You start forgetting an ayah from Quran. And when you make salah, it's not Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. It's Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin. You see? Because the shaitan, he's coming to distract you an sabilillah. He's coming to distract you from the path of Allah. That you're more interested in Jay-Z and 50 Cent and a quarter, give me change, whatever his name is. And I heard that they have this kafir, his name is Waka Flocka Flame. They don't even think of the names anymore. It's like when I heard this idiot, this guy, his name is Waka Flocka Flame. They don't even think of the names anymore. So some guy, I was listening to something, and they asked him, Waka Flocka Flame, how did you get your name? Oh, it rhymes. And he said that my mother, I asked my mother for a name, and she took one look at me, and she said, your name is Waka Flocka Flame. And I just went with it. So, my dear brothers and sisters, what happens when you listen to music, what happens is that you start looking up to them. Slowly, slowly, right? You start listening to their songs and you start getting their displeasures and their pleasures. And now when someone talks about Beyonce or Waka Flocka Flame or Lil Wayne, this shaitan, he says, he has an album that says, I am not a human being. And then I said, I told you this guy, he's a shaitan. He says, I'm not a human being. But I told you he wasn't a human being, he's shaitan. So, slowly you want to, the one who you listen to their songs, you want to look after their news. Oh, she's having a baby. Oh, she's pregnant. Right? Oh, she's married. Oh, he's in jail. You know? He comes out of, what's this guy, T.I.? Oh man, this is shaitan. SubhanAllah, T.I. gets out of jail. But he gets out of jail, he has a big bus. Big, huge bus. And he gets out of jail, and as soon as they let him out of jail, he's going to the halfway house to eat beans and rice and little juicy juices. Right? He goes to the halfway house with this big entourage, and what happens is, they say, no, we're going to put you back in jail. No, he's smart. So, sure, let's get back to the proofs, inshallah. So what happens is shaitan he puts an admiration in your heart for them. And as a result of that, you'll look up to them without even knowing it. And as a result of that, you'll have their desires and their displeasure in your heart. And as a result of that, you start going away, slowly, slowly, slowly. So, if you listen to some of these rappers and singers, you will find that most of them do not even do the things that they say. But they only say those things because they know you like to hear them. And one of the Salaf, he said, the testimony of the singer, and dancer is not accepted. SubhanAllah. I say, if it is proven that this matter is not permissible, then accepting payment for it is not permissible either. SubhanAllah. So now they say the exception to the above is the duff. Okay, without any rings. It is a hand drum which looks like a trampoline, but without any rattles. You know a duff, inshallah. You look up on. I wish I had a picture. I would show you. When used by women on Eids and weddings, this is indicated by Sahih report. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he said, but the Prophet ﷺ made allowances for certain types of musical instruments at weddings and the like. And he made allowances for women to play the duff at weddings and on other joyful occasions. But the men at his time did not play the duff or clap with their hands. It is narrated that in the Sahih that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, clapping is for women and tasbih, saying subhanallah, is for men. Clapping is for women and saying tasbih is for men. You will see now, but the men now, what are we doing? Yes.
I thought that hadith was pertaining to, like if someone was leading salat and they made a mistake, instead of the women saying takbir or subhanallah, they clap, and the men says the tasbih.
Inshallah, we'll get to it later. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he's saying this hadith pertains to the, we'll talk about it inshallah later. He said it's narrated in Sahih hadith that clapping is for women and tasbih, saying subhanallah, is for men. And he cursed women who imitate men and men who imitate women, because saying or singing and playing the duff are things that women do. The Salaf used to call any man who did that a feminine man. The people who sing, the men who sing, the Salaf used to call him sweet. So, inshallah. And they used to call the male singers sweet. And how many of them do that these days? You know, they, subhanAllah, you even have, what's this guy? His name is Prince, right? You see, when I talk about him, people get defensive. But I will say, any person, any man who put lipstick on his lips and who will wear skin tights and pumps and do the splits on stage, he's not. Let me move on, inshallah. And some people have even said, some people even have the nerve to suggest that the Sahaba and the Tabi'een listened to music and singing, and they saw nothing wrong with it. But the Shaykh is saying, we urge and encourage the people who say this to bring us one proof, one dalil, that the Tabi'een and the Salaf or the Sahaba took practice in what happens or participated in what happens today. Al-Fawzan, rahimahullah, or hafidhullah, he said, we demand them to show us sahih isnads. Isnad meaning chains. Going back to those Sahaba and Tabi'een, proving that they that will attribute that to them. Then he said, Imam Muslim mentioned in his introduction to the Sahih that Abdullah bin Mubarak, he said, the isnad is part of religion. Were it not for the isnad, whoever wanted to say something could say whatever he wanted. Some of them said that singing, some of the Sufis, they say that, or the deviants among us, they said that singing is a form of worship if the intention is for it is to help and obey Allah. But Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, he said, how strange, what type of faith, what type of light, what type of insight and guidance and knowledge can be gained from listening to the tuneful verses and music in which of most of that which is haram and deserves the wrath of Allah wa Rasul. How can anyone who has the least amount of insight and faith in his heart draw near to Allah and increase his faith by enjoying something which is hated by Allah? How can you have the sweetness of Iman and listen to Lil Wayne? How can you have the sweetness of Iman and listen to 50 Cent? How can you have the sweetness of Iman and listen to Lady Gaga? She says, I kissed a woman and I liked it. Haram. And here we are, we come to be Muslim and tapping our feet and snapping our hands. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. So I will close, inshallah. He said, some say that music and musical instruments have the effect of softening people's hearts. You know, it softens your heart. It makes you nicer. Gives you if you listen to Beethoven makes you smarter or something of this nature. Right? It's creating gentle feelings. This is not true because it provokes physical desires and whims. If it really did what they say, it would have softened the hearts of the musicians and made their attitude and behavior better. But most of them, as we already know, are astray and behave badly. In and out of jail, in and out of pregnancies, in and out, just a whole slew of batil, a whole slew of evil they have created. And they have filled the earth with filth. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from all of that. And the Shaykh is saying, strive to learn your Islam from the book of Allah, your Lord and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, that they not say that so and so said, for you cannot learn the truth only from for you cannot learn the truth only from men. Learn the truth and then measure people against it. This should be enough for the one who controls his whims and submits himself to his Lord. So, inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to please save us from this calamity that has befell the Muslims. SubhanAllah, they're singing everywhere. They're singing in almost everything we do. We go online, there was something that will start singing and you have to pause it. Just, SubhanAllah, just a whole bunch of things. And if we don't protect ourselves from this, we'll go astray. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us. Inshallah, questions? Sister, you had a question, I'll come back.
I was just wondering what the reference to the ayat you read at the beginning.
Oh, the first ayah that I read was in Luqman. This is ayah number 31. Actually, chapter number 31, ayah number 6. And of mankind is he who purchases idle talks to mislead from the path of Allah. The second ayah that I read is found in Surah Al-Najm, chapter number 53, ayah number 59 through 61. Do you wonder at this recitation, and you laugh at it and weep not, wasting your precious lifetime in amusements? Are you singing? Right. What question did you have, sister?
The question I had was for the clapping.
As the interruption in Salah?
Yeah.
As an interruption in Salah? Generally, clapping, in a general sense, is for women. And saying Subhanallah or Tasbih is for men. It's a general. And the Shaykh al-Islam is saying that this also can be applied in a general sense. So clapping is a habit of women. Saying Takbir, Allahu Akbar. This is what the Muslims usually do. Or saying Subhanallah. Glorifying Allah. This is in general. This is what he's saying.
I have another question.
Yes.
As far as the music situation.
Yes.
When I was studying under somebody else, they actually said that the rules of music is always a what's the word she used? It's always a exception when it comes to children, especially with children with special needs who needs that type of stimulation. As far as music concerned, what is the opinion of the scholars about that?
So what I say, and I am no scholar, I am your brother, is that the hadith and the Quran are clear. Is that it is haram, is general. Haram, haram. But you can recheck that with someone who has more knowledge than me. But any other question, answer, comment, correction? Yes.
I used to be approached by this guy that stood out in front of the store who would see me covered and used to tell me that I was going to go to hell if I did not, denounce Islam and become saved and accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And he would start singing this Christian song. And I asked him, I said, did Jesus sing?
Exactly.
And he said, what? I said, did Jesus sing? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, no, Jesus didn't sing.
Exactly.
So why are you singing? Why are you out here singing?
Allah. Yeah.
And I said, you want to tell me that I'm going to go somewhere, but you're saying, because he said he was an apostle.
Yeah.
And
he was a prophet.
Yeah. And he was going to, he was recruiting, and I needed to come over to Jesus Christ and these things. So I asked him if he could find it anywhere in his Bible to show me where Jesus sings.
Yeah.
And if not, then maybe
you're wrong. And before we conclude, subhanAllah, we have to strive to not follow the way of the Christians. Now what has happened At almost every church you go to, you'll see the benches, and then you'll see the piano, you'll see the drums, and you'll see the tambourine, and it has become nothing but clapping and singing. Basically, majority of their worship consists of music, consists of a lot of fabricated batil. And subhanAllah, the preacher, he'd be giving his lecture, something maybe equivalent to a khutbah, and right before he's in his moment, he wipes his head, and then he gives the singer a cue, and then he'll be preaching. Can you imagine if the imam, on the minbar, not this imam, of course, our Shaykh Sunnah, but can you imagine if the imam was in the khutbah and he gave a cue to Brother Habib or some other brother to start the tambourine and do the piano? Subhanallah. 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 We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the way of misguidance and to give us the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Anbiya sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.